Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's live where we are going to chit chat about the Memories Blanket Crochet Along that we are currently doing. And we are going to be talking about this Thursday's section that just came out, which is section one. Um, is there
Designed by, let's see, which
designed
direction are you? Designed by Biz.
this girl here? Yes. So we have been watching all of your work in the groups and so beautiful. You guys, I'm so excited to see all of your blankets, especially as they're starting to come to life because the way that we designed this particular cal, unless something happens, you should be able to keep up because no section is really huge. There's not a ton of
Right.
work to do in either of the sections. Like you just you start to feel like, "Oh gosh, this section is like I'm talking about mine in particular. This section feels like it could go forever. It's gonna end. Oh my gosh, it's all done." And now we're moving on to a new one. So like they're only about 3 inches a piece. Like you just aren't gonna get stuck on anything for too long. I'm just so excited to see everybody's blankets because I love the colors.
Yeah, I am loving the colors. I'm loving the excitement, the engagement,
Mhm.
asking questions, all of that kind of stuff. And so I'm really, really excited to quiz you about your
Okay.
section and have everybody know all the things about this
All the
this beautiful
things.
section.
Yes.
Because what you will discover as we go along is my style is subtle, simple, um, and so all of the squares, you'll go, "Oh, okay, that didn't take me very long." And then you'll get to the sections where all the texture and all the color and
Mhm.
all the things happen, and you'll go, "Oh, wow, boom, there it is."
Yeah.
And it's just a wonderful amalgamation, that's a big word, amalgamation of
Yeah,
all
but
of
it's
the
a good
things
one.
that Biz and I love. So I'm going to
Yeah.
start you off, Biz, by asking you to describe the two stitch patterns that we have in section one.
Okay, so the very first one that you're gonna run up against is, you're going to be putting a border edging on each of your strips. So that information is included in this week's pattern. You're going to frame the long strip that you made with 135 stitches. You're gonna wanna watch, especially on this one in particular, because
Mhm.
you're gonna have a mixture of half double crochets and single crochets in that going across. Um, but from there, the stitches that we're going to be dealing with, like in the first section of section one, is going to be double crochets, single crochets, and chain ones. And it is very, very simple, but we are going, it's kind of like mosaic, kind of like it's not an interlocked at all,
Mhm.
but it's kind of like a mosaic where you're going to be doing separate rows. Like you're going to be stopping one color and picking up another color and doing row after row that way. And you're building on it as you go. And what we're going to be creating with that is little peekaboo colors behind the texture
Mhm.
of the double crochets.
Yeah, I love that technique. I've never used it in my work, and it's been such a fun technique to learn
Hmm.
because you do it so creative. You do that with baubles coming up later in the
Hmm.
blanket as well.
Yeah.
Hiding behind chains and double crochets and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
It's not a difficult technique at all.
Mhm.
One thing I would say in my blanket is such subtle colors, but
Mhm.
in your blanket, you used more dramatic colors for the background color that
Mhm.
peeks through, and I
Yeah.
like that because it makes it a little bit more obvious what's going on in that particular
Mhm.
strip. So I would encourage folks to choose a more dramatic, a more contrasting color
Yeah.
for those peekaboo, um,
Yeah.
colors, and then you have
Something
a
dynamic
row.
where they go well, but they actually, like they're opposites.
Exactly. Then that section is framed by some front post single crochet
Mhm.
some front post single crochet so that you can turn that surface loop over into the front,
Mhm.
and then you start a new section, which is
Yeah.
what?
Yes. So the next section after that, you're just going to be dealing with double crochets and chain ones. Um, but you are also going to be adding slip stitch rows going across. So my
Mhm,
recommendation for the slip stitch rows to make it easy on yourself, because when you hold the fabric, you're going to want to make sure that you're starting and holding your yarn behind the work and then putting your hook in and pulling it through and then doing your slip stitch. The reason you wanna do that is because if you try to add the yarn and everything and do it all from the front, it's going to cock your slip stitch a little bit, and it'll show where you slip stitched instead of looking like a nice flat row going across. So that would be my one tip that I would give on that section. Just make sure that you're holding your yarn to the back. And what I do is because absolutely hate having to hold a lot of yarn or a lot of material in my hands because it makes my
mhm.
hands hurt. So what I will do is I will slip stitch, and I do have notations in the pattern itself where to do your slip stitching. But I do it as each one comes up, and then I just go back and
Mhm.
crochet the rest of the rows in there because um, it is it is so much easier to deal with it right away than to save
Yeah.
it and go back later.
No, I agree with you. I found that to be very helpful to do it as you went along because I've done slip stitching where you finish the entire project and then you have to go back and try to do it. And it's really difficult to be
It
accurate
is.
and even with the slip stitching when you have to grab a just a chunk of fabric. So I
Mhm,
appreciate the fact that you have that interspersed then with the
mhm.
rows of the other stitch.
Yeah.
Wonderful. They're just really cool sections and a great way to get us started on our texture journey through the blanket.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right. So I wanted to ask you why you chose these two particular stitch patterns to include in the blanket.
Well, the first one, it actually I have used it quite a bit in a lot of my blanket designs because there's I can't remember the blankets off the top of my head at the moment, but that particular where it's you start out with your main color, you go behind with your single crochets and chain ones. And the one thing I will suggest is don't do your chain ones super tight. Try to keep
Mm,
them at a nice even pace as you're going across because you don't want those chain ones to like pull your fabric in because then you've got to block it really hard.
mm,
But anyway,
yeah.
and then you build on top of that with single crochets on top of your single crochets, but then you're working that double crochet in front of that chain one space to hide everything behind, like you had said before. But I've done that on several borders, but I've also done it on just chunks of blanket. It's just one of my favorite stitches to do because it's super subtle, but it's really fun to do. It's easy.
And it creates such a gorgeous drape to the fabric.
Hmm.
Um, Single crochets can be a little bit dense and stiff, and so
Hmm.
this breaks it up. It gives it visual interest, but it also gives it a really nice drape to fit into the
And
blanket.
it's just a little bit nubby. You know, the texture
Yeah,
is not crazy. It's not like, "Oh my god, I just made a rib," but it's just this nice little bit of texture, something fun to touch.
yeah, I agree. What about the other section? Have you used that in some of your designs as well?
Yes. Yes, so if you ever want to use that section again, go and find my swirly bottom bag, which is on my blog, it's a free pattern. It is the basically the sides of the bag is it that's what I did. It just turned out so cute, and then when we were talking about going back and looking at old stitch patterns from the last year, I loved it so much. That was one of my favorite ones to make because it's
Well, I'm
another one
so
that's
glad
like
you
super
include.
simple.
I know, and I love that you included it in the blanket because it allows this is another way to use up those bits and bobs of yarn that are
Yes.
just hanging out, and you
Yes.
can do the slip stitch in whatever color happens to float your boat at that particular
Yep.
moment, right?
Yep, and
All right.
it is an absolutely perfect spot for little bits of yarn.
Oh, absolutely, and by the way, we're talking about that in our podcast tomorrow,
Yep.
how to use up all those little balls of yarn that are left over.
Yep.
All right, now we've interspersed some of these with our discussion so far. But what are some tips and tricks besides keeping those chains loose in the chain
Mhm.
one spaces that you can offer our listeners to make this a really easy journey for them?
Really easy journey. Just really pay attention to what's written in the pattern itself, only because it we are going to be having a recurring theme in each of the textured sections. You
Mhm.
had briefly mentioned it that there's going to be some front post and back post or not doubles, but singles in between the texture
Right.
sections. And that's going to be a recurring theme throughout. So, you know,
Mhm.
make friends with how that works. And the other thing is really utilize the stitch tutorials that we have available in the pattern itself, because if you don't know how to make a standing double crochet, or you don't know how to make a standing, or you don't know how to do a stacked single crochet, all of these things, we put them in there so that they are a useful tool to make it easier for you.
Right. Yeah, and I think what you'll find through the blanket, you said there are recurring themes. It's
Mhm.
always a little bit tough to start a new project because you're just sort of getting familiar with the way the designer speaks in the pattern,
Mhm.
with the stitches that she's using, with the things that you're seeing. But
Mhm.
as this blanket progresses, you're going to see things come back and you'll understand what we're asking you
Mhm.
to do. So
Mhm.
be patient with section 1, be patient with the first squares, and I
Mhm.
think you'll start to get a rhythm as we progress through the blanket, which is really exciting because then it
Yeah.
starts to percolate. I like it.
Yeah, it does. It really picks up speed after week 2.
Yeah. We're
Like,
just
week
getting our
2 and
heels
on is
under
like,
us.
"Woo!"
I swear, we feel like we have everything ready, and then all of a sudden we go, "Oh, I forgot that, so let's do
Yeah,
that." So we're
yeah,
still just, we're trying to put all the things in the Facebook group for
yeah.
you. So just that's a reminder that I wanted to give to you is that being in the group, not only is it fun, but it helps you make the blanket. It
Mhm,
gives you motivation, you'll see
mhm,
what other people might be struggling with, and it might be
mhm,
the same thing you're struggling with. It's just
mhm.
I love being in the Facebook group. I just keep I'm not getting
I
my
do
other work
too.
done because 'cause I'm hanging out too much, but
I know, me too, like, I'm constantly going and checking Facebook like, "Ooh, did it somebody else post a picture because I wanna see it."
yeah, what is going on? So just be aware of that, and, if you don't wanna miss any of these releases, make sure you sign up for email
Mhm.
notifications. I don't know if Biz has, an email that goes out every time something releases, but I do. So you get
I do.
reminded every time something releases. So sign up for whoever and sign up for both because 'cause we'd
Sign up for
love
both.
to talk to you.
Well, because
Yeah,
what like you've
um,
said before, we're very different people, so our emails
we
don't look
are.
the same.
They totally don't look the same, and that's great. I
Yes,
love embracing the difference because
yes,
we've made it work and it's just an exciting experience.
yes.
And even if you're participating in the crochet along, it can get cumbersome sometimes to go
Mhm.
click on the links, keep the browser window open, go to the next one. More power to you if you do that. That's why we do that, so you can do it
Yeah,
completely free.
yeah,
But know that the full pattern is available in
yep.
US terms and UK terms.
Mhm,
And we have those links included anywhere on the Facebook group and
mhm.
in the descriptions of our YouTube.
Yes,
So,
yes. Yeah, those are always available. And I do wanna let people know that, like, um, it is discounted right now, and it's only discounted
mhm.
through the end of the cal. So, I mean, like, you have some time if you've been sitting on the fence and thinking about it, or if, like, it's not in your budget right now, it's going to be available at this price through the end of the cal, which is, like, what, March 21st or something?
Well, I think the last release is March 21st. That's the border, but we extended the discount to March 25th to give
Oh,
people a
okay.
chance to grab it until then, and then the price goes up. So,
Yeah.
grab it now.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, hopefully you can fit it in the budget if it's something that you really, really want. If not,
Mhm.
I understand. I mean, like, I live on a budget too. So,
Right. I think anything else you wanna say about section 1?
No, just I can't wait to see what everybody does. I'm super excited
Oh
about
my
it.
gosh.
Yes,
Today's
and
gonna be
we've
so
had
much fun.
it is, and we've had a lot of people who they're venturing out into different weights. And I did take your post from your Madam Stitch about the different weights and stuff like that, and I shared it in my group so that take a peek at it, people, because it kind of gives you some helper points. And she has a link in there so that you can go to her blog and read about the how to choose different weights and stuff like that and what to watch out for. Because if you are choosing different weights for this blanket, um, you're going to need to make some adjustments if you want to come out with the same size. Otherwise, if you don't care one way or the other, like Neve, she's making a baby blanket because she knows she's using DK. Some other people are using chunky and they're doing their own math. The thing is, we cannot do the math for you as much as we would love to. It is made in worsted weight, people. So,
It's made in worsted weight, and I'll tell you, I have to give props to Biz because she took my squares. We talked about at the beginning going, the squares need to have this many stitches across the side and blah, blah, blah. Well, don't you know, I kind of ignored that and just made the squares however I wanted. But it all ended up working out okay.
yeah.
But she really had to work to make the calculations to fit 135 stitches across a
Mhm,
strip. It works, it's
mhm.
great, but
And everything's
kudos to my
great.
friend. Yep, but to do that again with 9
No.
squares or bigger sq
Mhm.
no, I can't.
I love you
My
all so
brain won't
much.
go
I
there,
really do. I really do.
but that's a lot to ask. So, go ahead, make it in, but just know it will be a different size,
Yes.
most likely. So,
And I can't
anyway.
wait to see your variations because I love different. So it'll be
Yep,
fun. Alrighty.
alright.
Well, I think that we've hit all the questions for today. If you guys have any questions, obviously make sure that you ask them. We are happy to answer. And like Debbie said, we are in the groups all day, every day,
Mhm.
and we will be there. Facebook user, thank you for joining us, and thank you for leaving a comment. Love it. But yeah, ask us anything that you need. We did have a special request, and I'm just going to share this with you out there because we are endeavoring to make everything accessible to everyone. We did have a request from someone who is sight impaired, and we are going to be working on making sure that our graphics and all of that kind of stuff have alternate text so that when you are using your readers on your computers, you do not have difficulties seeing what everything is because she said that it just comes up a bunch of gobbledygook and numbers. So we're working on that, just so you know.
Yep.
All right. Other than that, you guys have a great Thursday. Join us tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. It's our regular There's No Crying in Crochet podcast. So we will be on Facebook and on YouTube. Make sure you join us because we're going to be talking about scrap projects specifically.
Which is perfect for this blanket,
Yes,
so
it
join us.
is the way to do it. All right. Love you guys. See you later. Bye.